That was awesome. Absolutely awesome. Hey guys, welcome to That Pedal Show. Dan here.
Mick here, hello. Right, for those of you watching in the future, this is a normal pedal show.
Indeed.
For those of you watching right now, at this minute, we're live. Which is kind of weird.
It's kind of weird. It shouldn't feel different, but it does.
Yeah, because everything is the same as a normal pedal show. So, rules, we're not answering any comments. There's no super chat, none of that. Dan and I need to concentrate on switching pedals and trying to play the guitar rather than get into all the comments. So we will do comments as usual after the show, but during the show we're trying to concentrate. Big thanks to Simon and Fraser for making it all possible today, for Catherine out there. And I don't know if BV's on today. If he is, thanks to BV. If
Indeed.
He's not, I hope you're having a well-deserved break, BV. So yeah, welcome.
Welcome indeed.
Dual overdrives then, Dan.
Best of the best, Mick.
Yeah, I thought I'd go for a really clickbaity title today.
Bring him in. Bring him in.
We wouldn't normally say, you know, regular viewers will know that we wouldn't normally say things like best and better, and because the truth about guitars and amps and effects and stuff is what you engage with the most.
Yeah, what you
isn't it?
connect with, absolutely.
But, you know, YouTube is what it is, so let's be clickbaity about it. Which of these is the best?
Fight!
Dual overdrives, right? So there's millions of dual overdrives there are hundreds of dual overdrives on the market. And of course, I rather suspect comments will already be saying, why haven't you got this? Why haven't you got that? Dan, why haven't we got the D&M drive?
Because it wouldn't be fair to every other pedal in the world. No, I think these four, there's a lot of, shall I say, internet buzz.
Yeah.
Specifically around these four dual pedals that we wanted to, and we of course we use the D&M drive loads on the show, and if you want to hear that specifically, you know, it's
yeah, we can't
use it all the
we
time.
can't promote our own pedal on a show like this.
Exactly.
So let's go through them then. So I personally get a lot of comments going, Mick, do you prefer the Duellist or the Gladio?
Right.
I think there's a lot of people out there trying to choose between those two in terms of decision making. Dan has been a long time fan of the KOT.
Long time fan.
The Analog Man King of Tone, for which there is a hilarious waiting list. Mm-hmm. Although it is the cheapest of our lineup today.
Yeah. Well, not if you buy it second hand, though.
No, then it's probably the most expensive. And we were going to do those three, just those three, the KingTone Duellist by Jesse Davey, the Analog Man King of Tone by Mike Piera, Analog Man, and the Cornerstone Gladio, this is version 1, dual preamp by Cornerstone over there in Italy. However, I did a quick search for dual overdrive pedal on Google yesterday, and it said, Protein.
Yes.
Protein Dual by Browne Amplification. And it twigged a memory that we are getting lots of comments going, you really should play the Protein Dual by Browne Amplification. So that's new to both me and Dan. We hadn't heard that before we kicked off today. So we'll see. What are our questions, Dan?
Okay, why a dual overdrive?
Yep.
What does it give you, apart from the obvious? How are you going to use a dual overdrive? And what specifically are these four going to give us? What separates them from each other?
Cool. Shall we dive in?
Yeah, let's go.
Where do you want to start?
Let's start right to left, as any good pedal order should.
Gladio.
Gladio, please.
Okay, so fans of the show, people who watch the show, God, fans, that's a weird word. People who watch the show will know that Dan and I really like the Gladio. The short story is, a friend of mine, Ian, came to see me, and he said, do you want to try this overdrive pedal? And I'm like, I need another overdrive pedal like I need a hole in the head.
So Guitar Breaks Ian.
But yeah, Guitar Breaks Ian.
Yeah.
Guitarbreaks.com. Go and check out Ian, guitarbreaks.com.
And he was very aware of this. He says, look, I wouldn't do this normally because I know he's been here, he's seen the cupboards, he knows what's going on. But it says, I think you guys really would like this.
Yeah, so I plugged it in and I was like, wow, this is really good. I really do like it. Claudio at Cornerstone and his wife, whose name escapes me at this moment, so apologies for that, make all these. It's a dual-sided overdrive, and the inspiration is the Dumble Overdrive Special.
Claudette? No, anyway. Right. Okay, so this is the one I've probably got the most questions about.
All right.
So, right, inspiration from the OD Special. So that means that it's a single preamp, but when you click on the other side, it adds another gain stage.
Cascades.
Cascades.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's have a listen. Have a play, Dan. I'll flick on the two sides, and you can have a hear,
Okay.
as it were.
So we've got the 2 Rock and the mattress out today.
Just a
Best
couple
of
of
the
rubbish old
best.
amps we
Yep.
could find. We've also got this Free the Tone Feature Factory delay and the Mercury 7 by Enzo on the board for a bit of extra delay and reverb.
We'll try not to overuse those, but man alive, they sound so good.
Yeah, it's difficult not to overuse them. Here we go then. Here are the amps.
Wow. The individually, they were nice, but together is magic.
Yeah, it's quite soupy in the mid-range, I
Yeah.
would say. Pretty thick there. What I think the Gladio does, and we will get to direct comparing them in a sec, what the Gladio does really nicely is it has this extra sort of compression between the two sides, which is
Yes.
something you'd expect in an amp-type gain. Interestingly, it's got that additional compression switch here on the top panel, which gives you a bit more compression in the second stage here. You
Right.
can also swap the order like you can on the D&M drive.
Oh, cool.
And there's a jazz rock.
Jazz switch.
The jazz rock switch was something that appeared on the Dumble Overdrive Special
Right.
amp. It does this, Dan, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure.
Gladio.
Yeah. So, but jazz or rock?
You'll know which one. Oh, I see. We're in rock.
Okay.
Sorry, we need to give these guys a bit of chance to up and down the voices and the guitars.
Okay. Okay.
Can you just
Yeah, I will try. I will try.
just play the same thing? And remember, we need to give Fraser a chance to turn the voice mics down and the amp mics up.
This is live. Okay. Wow.
What I like about it is that there's plenty of gain.
Yes.
So what you heard there, I started playing on the Leicester, some humbuckers to give it a bit more, push. Started with the compression switch off.
Right.
The compression switch only works in the channel on the left-hand side as you look down at the pedal. And what that brings back is all that edge on the note.
Okay.
So then went up the neck a bit and started using the side of the pick to hear all of that, and it brings all that back. So it's very dynamic. Because one thing about the Dumble Overdrive Special sound is when you hear it recorded, a good example if you're not familiar is Robin Ford's Talk to Your Daughter record. I think there was a lot of ODS on that record. It can end up sounding pretty compressed.
Yeah, indeed.
And some people would say quite a flat sounding overdrive.
Right.
But when you hear one in the flesh, like I have, Daniel.
You've played one.
I have, a couple actually. It's not that at all. It's really visceral.
Right.
And it's really in your face and really kind of, oh my God.
It's hard to record those sorts of sounds though.
Yeah.
And make them work in a mix.
Well, yeah, because once it goes through all your
Flandango.
Yeah, your what's the word I'm looking for? Block of flats of rack gear, and ends up getting through your mastering machine, and then it's not that at all, is it?
Yeah.
That's true of all guitar tones. But anyway, but what you can do with that comp switch there is just sort of bring a bit of that in, so it is a little bit smoother.
And that's preset, that level of compression.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure how it's achieved, but anyway, so you'll know that we're fans of the Gladios. Can we just hear it a little bit low gainy for a second?
Yeah, sure.
I'll turn the gains down and let's see how it functions as a lower gain. I mean, to be fair, both the gains are currently on about 9 and 10 o'clock.
Okay, so there's a lot of gain.
So we're not actually even running it very gainy, but that was pretty gainy for me.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So let's go even lower gain then.
Okay.
And see where we are. Cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's cool. We'll find out with the other pedals, but with a lot of overdrive pedals, certainly a lot of my favourite overdrive pedals, they tend to be good in like a range.
Yeah, sure.
So this one might be better at higher gains, and this one might be better as a boosty lower gain thing. Genuinely, the Gladio
It's got a massive range there.
does have that mid hump. You can't really dial the mid hump out when both sides are into one another. That is a feature of that Dumble Overdrive Special kind of sound. It is quite mid-focused. So good on Strat. Sorry, I haven't even played the Strat. I'll just do a little bit of that before we move on. In fact, yes. Because obviously the clunk of that would have sounded much worse through the mics because they've got compression on them, I promise. Sorry, Nev. That mid hump is really, really useful on a Strat, as Strat players will know all about. bit of a tuning issue. Yeah, so as you heard there, it does affect it's a long way from transparent. The left side is a bit more transparent, but the right side quite coloured, I would say.
Yeah, it's lovely. Cool, okay. So reacting ODS-like with that cascading gain stage, the compression there, that's really cool. Okay, well, let's move along then to something. So this is the King of Tone. I've had this for 10 years. This is your one.
Oh, this is mine, okay.
Yep, and this is the high gain version, I believe.
Version 4.
Yeah.
KOT, and it's when you buy a KOT, if you can face waiting for it, you get a bunch of options, and it's a great cause of confusion among a lot of people. So Dan and I get lots of messages saying, oh God, should I go for the high gain one? Should I not go for the high gain one? It's high gain on one side, on the red side.
On the red side is high gain, okay.
But according to Mike, if I'm not very much mistaken, it's only about 20% more gain.
Sure.
It's not like the difference between, I don't know, a Klon and a metal zone. It's not that. Yeah. It's just a little bit more.
Right.
And even then, you couldn't really call the King of Tone a high gain pedal.
It's not. No, absolutely. So the King of Tone for me has been, it's one pedal that's been almost impossible to kick off my board because in the mix, it always works.
Yeah.
So a couple of things about the King of Tone. On the two sides, you've got tone, gain, level, but inside there are some dip switches that give you some options. In one position, it's a clean boost. The other position, it's an overdrive. The other position, it's a distortion.
Which I didn't know is apparently just clipping
diodes.
Yeah, so it's changing the nature of the clipping diodes to make it a boost, an overdrive, or a distortion.
Exactly. You're taking out the
diodes
idea completely. But there's also a presence control in there, or what Mike calls it a treble booster, so that you can dial the presence in for the amps that you're playing.
Yeah.
So, for example, I used it with like cranked AC30 sounds for a long time, and so I had it very bright, and it worked beautifully.
Yeah, just overdriving those trebles a bit more.
Lovely.
Actually, Dan, that's a nice hat you're wearing there.
You like this?
I do.
See, if you've got a head like mine, why not wear a hat?
Yeah, a hat. Yeah, new into that pedal show store today, in fact. It's a baseball cap rather than a trucker cap, and it has a lovely embroidered logo on the top there.
Indeed, and check
it's
it out.
very nice. And it's a nice pin you've got on your
pin there?
coat. It's very nice.
Go on, Simon.
That's classy.
See how you go. No, he's shaking his head.
He's like, no way, mate. That is classy.
I like that.
Yeah, it's nice. All available at that pedal show store.
I hate it when people bow down to sponsors. And
I know. Never us. Well, we're our own sponsorship here.
This is the second Wayne's World gag today with the count in.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Simon did the full on. 5, 4, 3. So KOT. And you can have either side as red or yellow.
Well, you can have either side as boost or distortion.
Yeah.
The right side's always red, the left side's always yellow.
Oh, is it? Does that not go yellow if you... Oh, okay, sorry.
No.
So it's basically two of the same pedal in one box.
Exactly. So, at the moment, we've got it set up with the red side as the overdrive.
Yep.
And the yellow side as the boost.
This is how it comes. If you buy one, this is how it comes.
Yep.
And as a fearer of internal dip switches and things, I never mess about with any of that stuff. So it just is as it arrived from Mike.
Yeah, I played with it for a little bit and worked out that is the sound that works.
Yeah.
And I did adjust the treble inside just a hair.
In mine?
No, in mine. But this I haven't touched yours. This is how it comes from Mike.
Rising.
Okay, so let's start with that side off.
Yep. Okay, so we'll start with just the amps, and then I'll switch the KOT on. Yeah?
Okay, yep. Picking up.
Man, that delay sounds killer.
It's incredible.
Sorry, that's the first thing I want to talk about, but it's you. Hopefully, you should be hearing it in stereo if you've got headphones on.
Yeah, I know, it's magic. Okay, so there's a couple of things there to point out. First of all, it doesn't change the overall frequency of everything. There's a little bit of shift in the mid-range, but it's not like a massive kick in the mid-pants.
Left-hand side especially, the yellow side especially.
Exactly.
I tried to switch it on and off so you could hear that while we were doing it.
Yeah. So, for me, which is depending on, like, the amps that I'm using, it never radically changes that core tone. And also, you hear how dynamic it is. Like, when I dig in, it just goes, pah, it's unreal. So, I've never found another pedal that actually does what that does.
Yeah.
You know, and I've tried all the copies and that sort of stuff, but there's a lot to be said for the amount of love and attention to detail that goes into making every single one of these. Yeah, it's a really special thing. It doesn't do the high gain thing like the Gladio does. That's not its bag.
It got a little bit scrappy up there at the higher gain.
Yeah.
But, you know, if your amp's overdriving a little bit, that could be a really cool thing.
Totally.
I just want to hear one of the things that Dan alluded to it. It is pretty transparent sounding. By transparent, we mean it doesn't change the EQ too much, but it still does have a bit of a mid kick.
It does have It does have that mid kick, and you do need that.
Well,
yeah,
you need it for this. So let's have a see what it does to a 1961 Strat. Oh yes.
Hello.
It's not mine, by the way.
Blinking heck, I'd love to know what that hit.
That's
Wow.
right.
So,
Good to know you're still awake, mate.
Yeah. So interestingly, you hear those transients are all there, and the dynamic range in it is unreal.
Yeah, it was really not. I mean, considering it's at the optimum pedal settings for all pedals there, you'll notice that I snuck that in, Dan.
I did.
Apologies if you're new to this, there are a number of in-jokes on that pedal show, one of which is, I believe all pedals sound best with the control set to 2 o'clock. It's sometimes true. But even with that, you know, so you've got both sides on, one side's going into the other, and yet with the Strat in the in-between positions there, what an amazing sound. Let's leave the settings exactly the same. I'll just bang some humbuckers into that.
Okay, yep.
And see what difference that makes. I want to say massive thank you to my dear friend Neville Martin, editor of Guitar Techniques magazine, whose album you can buy at that pedal show store, by the way, for lending me this Tom Murphy Age Gold Top, which is just astonishing guitar.
It is crazy.
I feel separation issues and it hasn't even gone yet.
That is the sound of ages.
Just for you on the end there.
Man.
Sorry, I bit of intonation issues today, but there we are. So this is not a typical super throaty, very heavy in the mids Les Paul. It is a pretty light sounding Les Paul, but just that extra bit of push there still stays present and lovely and
that's the thing about the KingTone.
very cool.
Yeah, it's really, really cool.
Very cool.
You know, when I've noticed it has always been at sound checks, right? When the drummer's making crazy amounts of noise and there's, you know, bass players flapping about.
Yeah.
And you've got the DJ, boom, 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 you know. And that's when I would try the different pedals just to hear them.
Yeah.
And I could always hear that thing just always sits proud. You know, it's really, really interesting.
That whole subject is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
How everything changes.
Yeah.
Once you get into band context. One of the reasons we're doing this live business is because we hope to be able to do this with a band and put some of this in context. So that's one of the reasons we're trialing all this stuff out.
Yeah.
That will be interesting.
It will be indeed.
Okay, Duellist then. Jesse Davey, KingTone. Jesse Davey, formerly of the UK blues rock band The Hoax. Jesse's a hell of a guitar player, and as it turns out, pretty decent at making pedals too. And Jesse makes some really, really lovely stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So far, we've said what the Gladio is inspired by the Dumble Overdrive special sound. The King of Tone, well, what was it? It started off as a bluesbreaker and then really wasn't that by the time it was...
No.
I mean, it doesn't sound really anything like a bluesbreaker.
No. If you look at the circuit, there are definitely, similarities, but it just... That's the thing. You can change one resistance value and you've got a whole other thing. And by the time Mike has finished with it, it just doesn't sound like a bluesbreaker.
No, the headroom in it is...
It's crazy. It's so
amazing.
It's so good.
On the bluesbreaker theme, the Duellist is a dual overdrive pedal, obviously. On the one side, very heavily tube screamer inspired.
Wow.
On the right-hand side as you look down. On the left-hand side, bluesbreaker inspired.
Wow, okay. So you've got a mid-humpy thing.
You've got those two flavours.
Okay.
But in addition, now there's some extra stuff inside the Duellist. I think you can configure the bluesbreaker side to be a more high gain distortion. I don't do that. It's stock at the moment. But in addition, on the top panel there, what you've got is the little 3-position mini switch.
Yep.
So you can have 3 sort of overall voices.
Okay.
So for example, as we'll hear in the tube screamer, some people really like their tube screamers with plenty of treble. Some people not so much. So have a play. Look, we'll stick the tube screamer side on. Dan is not a fan of tube screamers.
Just with tellies, I find them troublesome. The only tube screamer, funnily enough, the only tube screamer I really like is the Analog Man modded one with the but with the bad Bob boost in it.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah,
thing.
that's a Maxon SD9 that's not there because it's on my pedal board.
Right.
Right, come on then.
Okay. Tube screamer. I've never heard a tube screamer sound like that.
Interesting, isn't it? It's definitely heavily inspired by a tube screamer.
But I've never heard a tube screamer sound like that.
Because you've got all the top end back.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if we turn the tone down, so keep going.
Closer to a tube screamer. Okay. Wonderful.
Yeah. So, obviously... Let's go there. What the TS is kind of known for is strats, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's where people tend to love them. I thought that was just a different input caps, but it's not. He's changing the EQ quite radically in the glass or the fat switch. So the stock, I can hear go back to that, gets rid of all that top end, that mid hump, but that glass and all that top end is there. So it sounds fantastic. Three main criticisms of tube screamers of people who don't love them. Too compressed. Too much bottom end roll off.
Right.
Too much top end roll off.
Sure.
So you can kind of fix all of those things because there's a great deal of headroom in it as well.
Yeah.
If that's what you want, that tube screamer flavour. And then with the 3-position switch there, you know, if you're using a really bright amp, if you've got a I don't know, Fender amp with a bright cap and you're playing quite quietly, then the last thing you're going to want to hear is the bright setting on there.
Yeah, right.
Glass, sorry, Jesse calls it. So you can tweak it up a little bit.
Really cool.
All right.
Really impressive.
So let's have a listen to the other side then. This is the Bluesbreaker side, which ought to be gainier if memory serves.
Okay. So again, it's not radically changing the EQ. It's keeping it fairly flat.
Yeah, and you heard there's a ton of gain in it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if you get round to there a sec, here you go.
Wow.
Yeah, so it gets really gainy, and really, you know, when you want that push
Yeah.
over the edge.
One more, isn't it?
One more. It's one more. I'm going to knock the gain down a little bit in that side. Heavy hand and string singer, I should have said, is what the two sides are called.
Oh, okay.
Heavy hand being the blues breakery side, and string singer being the tube
Tube screamer.
screamery side. So here you go, some humbucking pickups. all that gain, and even with the Les Paul, this Les Paul,
Yeah.
still cleans up real nice.
All right. You've said it now. You've said it now.
Oh, I hope that clunk sounded good on the internet.
It's all right. It's the jam. Oh,
Yeah, awesome. Yes. You realise people are crying around the world at this moment, don't you, Dan?
for many reasons.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is not as magical as that one.
No, it's
but it
different.
That's what they
There's a
say.
lot of people who
That's
prefer
what they
that.
say.
There's a lot of people who prefer that. It's thicker sounding. Now, this is a tremendous amount of gain, Daniel.
Okay.
I know you're a grown-up and you can handle it, but...
Too much for me. But awesome. Really, really awesome.
That was loud and gaining.
Really loud and gaining.
Yeah, I just flicked through the Gladio, the King of Tone and the Duellist there. Actually, I don't know what you're hearing out in YouTube land. Sat here being hit in the ear with 100 dB. I was hearing a really nice Les Paul is what I was hearing.
Huh?
Bravo, sir.
Sorry.
Chapeau.
I did that now.
So there we go, Duellist.
One thing about being in a small room with loud valve amps, it gets real warm.
Yeah.
Love it. It's like being at home on
Yeah.
the beach.
Yeah, because you get very cold and quite hot quite quickly, don't you?
Yeah.
It's like your internal thermostat is screwy or something.
Yeah, it needs a look at. But the warranty's run out.
All right then, protein. So we haven't heard this before.
Haven't heard this.
Everyone keeps talking about it and saying, "Oh, you really need to hear the protein Duel by Browne Amplification." Admission time, I didn't even know about Browne Amplification, so it's new to us. Now, we've included this, A, because it's new to us, B, because loads of people talk about it, C, because it's got quite an interesting take. Remember we said the Gladio's a bit Dumble Overdrive special. We said the King of Tone is kind of Bluesbreaker and then some. The Duellist is Tube Screamer and Bluesbreaker. The Protein is inspired by, if I'm going to take the strong clues on the website, on the one side it's the green Nashville Overdrive played by Tim Pierce.
Ah.
Nobels ODR-1.
Yeah, right. Nice.
And on the other side, the very famous blue Overdrive used extensively by John Mayer on Continuum. BD2 Blues Driver.
If you mixed the green and blue of those pedals, would you get that colour? Sorry.
That's a great question.
You like that?
Yeah. Any colourists out there?
Okay.
Actually, they come in different shades. If you go on the Browne Amplification website, you'll see there's a green one and there's some other colours too.
Do you know if the Blues Driver was modded, John Mayer's Blues Driver, or was it a standard one?
I'm going to make an educated guess and say that he really loved the Keeley Katana boost as well.
Okay.
So
because my Keeley modded Blues Driver is a thing of beauty.
yeah, John Mayer fans will know the answer to that. I am a John Mayer fan, but I don't know the answer to that. So
not all John Mayer fans.
yeah, so this is kind of it's not just another tube screamer in a box. It's the ODR-1, which is, my goodness, loved by so many people. Different kind of flavour than the tube screamer.
Which side is that on? That's on this side.
I'm assuming it's on the green side. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Come on then, Daniel. Let's see what we've got.
Really, really interesting.
Quite different.
I really like the green side.
It retains. I don't know if the ODR-1 does this. We should do an ODR-1 show really. It's a couple times when you hit resonance on the bottom string, all that thud was there.
Right.
So it doesn't sound like it's it's a terrible mistake to confuse an ODR-1 with a tube screamer, but it's green. Tube screamer does roll a lot of bottom end off, and maybe the ODR-1 doesn't in such a way. Yeah, kind of interesting.
Super. Have
Show to the Strat in a sec. don't know. I don't know if maybe just because these amps sound amazing and the delay and the reverb is really wonderful and it's nice and loud and feedback is happening. But, you know, conveniently, I'm very happy with all of them.
They all have something.
Yeah.
They really do. There's a thickness to the protein.
Yeah.
And even though it's gainy, it's not ultra gainy, but there's actually there's not much noise there. You know what I mean?
Right.
The Duellist is really focused with those edges that are awesome. The dynamic range of the King of Tone for me is just out of this world.
Yeah.
For that low gain overdrive, for me that's it.
It's probably set with the lowest gain at the moment as well, isn't it? We've got the others cranked a little bit more in terms of the gain. Gladio definitely stands alone in its sort of compressier,
ampiness,
thicker. You know, it definitely. Dan and I have been a bit grumpy in the past and remain grumpy about pedals that claim to sound like amps because, you know, only an amp sounds like an amp. It needs a transformer and speakers and valves to sound like an amp.
Yeah.
But in terms of the way that chewiness of the gain, especially in the mid range there, and the sort of Dan and I often talk about, or all guitar players often talk about the feel under the fingers. And people who maybe find that statement slightly confusing say, what are you talking about, you idiot? You're playing the guitar and it's the same. It can't possibly feel any different under the fingers because nothing's changing there. But what we mean by that is the sort of compression characteristics and the amount you want to go in with the edge of the pick or not.
And that's the thing, isn't it? Because there are sounds that you're thinking, I've got to hit a bit harder to get more out of this.
Yes.
You know?
So, of course, the guitar doesn't feel any different under the fingers, but it does encourage you to play in a different way. Let's see the Gretsch with the protein then. How cool.
Man.
It's really nice.
Yeah, that's that protein is very special.
I hope you were following. Oh no, wrong strap. I hope you were following what I was doing there. I went to the sort of cleaner side of each of the pedals and just switched between them. Hopefully, I was trying to point at them because we don't have the masking and stuff. But hopefully, it was pretty clear what you were hearing.
Yeah.
Only thing we haven't done is heard the protein with a Stratoblaster.
Okay. Unreal.
Might just be because it's blisteringly loud.
Yeah.
Which of course is always a glorious thing. But I tell you what I like about that protein. Top end, glassy enough.
Yeah.
But not too much.
Sure.
Like if you think of Stevie Ray's tone, everyone, you know, if you plug a normal Strat into a tube screamer, into a vibroverb, that glassy edge of what you associate Stevie Ray's tone with is gone.
Sure.
It's not there.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know why that might be, whether that was a steel string singer thing or whatever it was. Anyway, if you listen to Texas Flood or, actually particularly Texas Flood.
Cesar Diaz is getting busy with the soldering iron, I reckon.
There's quite a lot of presence in there.
There really is.
So, and that protein, I mean, forgive me, I'm not suggesting it's the Stevie Ray Vaughan sound or that's what you want to use it for. I'm using it merely as an example of
Up
saying
the frequency.
The top end is there. If you want, I really like that. Seems to really suit this guitar in a pretty glorious way.
Yeah, really lovely.
Yeah.
Well, they're all winners. They're all winners.
Well, so...
But you can see why these are, like, there is so much buzz about these online because they are incredible.
Yeah.
You know, having these amplifiers behind us as well.
Yeah.
If there is something that isn't quite right, it really stands out.
You're going to hear it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No point asking you which one you'll stay with.
But to be honest, if I could have two, because of course I'm going to stay with the King of Tone.
Yeah.
But I think for me, the King of Tone and the Protein.
Yeah.
I think for a match would be awesome.
Yeah, it would depend on application for me, and it is a bit odd talking about application in these times because there is no application at the moment other than having fun.
Yeah, but that's enough.
Here, but you know, talking about actually playing music, God forbid. I think if I'm in a bluesy mood, I'm going Duellist Protein
Sure.
with
Yeah.
the Strat.
Yeah.
And I think if I'm in a more slightly rockier, I don't want to say fusion because I never play fusion, but those sorts of sounds.
But you're starting to expand your vocabulary.
I am going. Yeah,
It's great.
I don't want to use the word fusion because it's terribly misused. But if I'm in a Stevie Ray and John Mayer mood, then I think the two pedals on the left.
Right.
If I'm in a Robin Ford, Larry Carlton,
Interesting. Yeah.
if I'm in that kind of mood, then the Gladio for sure.
Yeah.
But that said, I think we're fairly well splitting hairs, aren't we?
You couldn't go wrong.
The one that really stands out as being different in a big way from all of them is the KOT.
Yeah, sure. Because it doesn't have the amount of gain there.
Yeah.
But it's voiced around being a low gain drive. And for me, it's just, I've never heard a pedal that does what that does. It's just perfection. I love it.
It is quite how they get that headroom in there and the sort of clarity and we
Well,
talk about fidelity a lot, which seems odd when you're talking about overdrive, but
we've been there. We've been with Mike and we've seen the way they do them. And it's humans who actually give rats.
where there's all these other things, it's just made by people who really don't. Aren't they?
No, but you know what I mean. They're so laser focused in what this can deliver.
Oh, the selection of components is just how anyone can do that in this day and age is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But cool.
But you're quite right. They all have that.
Yeah, and hopefully you heard some tones today via the different guitars and the different sort of settings we had. What we didn't do is run them into really gainy amps. Dan and I not massive fans of running lots of gain into gainy amps. It sort of turns mushy and you lose all that nice that we like, especially with these old guitars.
Yeah, but the amps are loud and the amps are working.
They're definitely overdriving a little bit, but not a lot.
Yeah.
And of course there are many, many, many other
many
other brilliant dual overdrives on the market. Some that come to mind. D&M Drive by Keeley, Double Barrel by JHS.
Yes.
The other double JHS one, which isn't the double barrel, it's the
double tube.
Simon Dickinson is screaming at the screen right now because he has one and loves it a lot. But it's two other JHS pedals in a single box. Lots of them out there.
Yeah. The Tube Dreamer.
Yeah. There's a few double jam ones that are really lovely.
Yeah.
What else have we got? Anyway, there's loads, you know.
Santa Ana Overdrive from Fender is really good.
You know your favourites.
Yeah. But yeah, what they're designed to do is to have two sounds that complement each other, giving you a range of tones. And that, I think these are up there with, as good as I've ever heard.
Iced Tea is what I was trying to remember from JHS.
Well played.
I think one of them's sort of higher gain than the other.
Right.
Anyway, loads of really great ones out there.
Yeah. Cool.
But we will come back to the top of the show and say these are the ones that people want to know about today at the moment, aren't
Lovely.
they?
Well, there we go. What's that? A cozy hour and 10.
Live. I can't believe it. We've actually done a live show, Dan.
Unreal. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Also, a massive thank you to our preferred retailers in the UK and Europe is...
Anderson's Music of Guildford in Surrey, where you can buy some of this stuff.
And our dear friends in Australia.
Would be Pedal Empire of Brisbane, Queensland. Hello to Matt and the gang.
Yep, and you'll notice some links in the description.
You will, some of which aren't there today because some of this stuff is not available from Sweetwater in the US.
Right, okay.
Simon wants to tell us something, I think.
We mentioned the tour cancel.
Oh, yes, we have to mention the tour cancel. Any of you that had tickets for That Pedal Show band with Andy Timmins, unfortunately we've had to just cancel that because there's so much uncertainty regarding COVID restrictions on public gatherings, and the venues have been awesome. They've said, look, sorry guys, we just can't say. If you want to reschedule, we can reschedule, but we just don't know. Yeah. So,
but as soon as that changes, as soon as we can do this, we will, because we're so desperate to get Andy over and do these gigs with him. It'd be so much fun.
Yeah.
And B, CA.
And if you've bought a ticket, Dan and I have spent all the money on sweets, so no. You should have had an email in your inbox.
Yes.
Which will say that we will be refunding everybody, just by... we will just refund everybody. So
there was a lovely thread yesterday on the that pedal show page on Facebook. Everyone was spending their refund in the store. It's really really sweet.
Oh my God.
But yes, so that pedal show store.
Sorry.
Hats and all the stuff there. Thank
New
you guys.
baseball hats, pin badges, fuzz t-shirts, and all other manner of
Accoutrement.
oui for le période holiday.
Indeed. Also, a massive thank you to our patrons on Patreon. Thank you for your support, guys. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
We'll be here on Monday.
We will indeed
Where
for our VCQ.
All the amazing comments that you've been leaving today. Thank you. Obviously, we can't concentrate on that while we're concentrating on this. But on Monday, we'll be all about the comments and diving in there to discuss this show.
Yes. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us. And we'll see you on Monday.
Okay.
All right. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.